Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Success Shift. My name is Jake. It is Thursday, and I'm super grateful to be here with everyone, sharing our gratitude, continuously learning, continuously growing. I have been in deep focus this week, trying to get a few things up and running. My lovely wife has taken a bit of a step back from her business, taken a bit more focus on our baby boy, which has given me a bit of time to sort of organize myself and get a bit ahead. So I'm very, very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that we're both entrepreneurial based and sort of working from home and really trying to push ourselves and drive each other. And I know this has come up a few times in the past, but today I really want to show gratitude, mainly for my partner. But it's such a difference when you've got the support. Now, I can't speak for every relationship or anything, but I am very grateful for the one that I have, in the sense that we've found a place in our relationship where we're both really aiming to better each other, and we both have the aim and desire to help the other person and to constructively criticize, but also to support, even through the hard times. Even if it's challenging for both parties, we're there to support each other and keep pushing. And I know that sometimes it's really, really hard when you don't have that support, or your better half is second guessing you, or you're going through a hard time. You don't have that person, that shoulder to cry on, or that person to lift you up, or that person to be like, hey, it's okay, you can do it. Because I know for me, and I'm sure for many other traders and many other entrepreneurs, I have been through so many low times, so many points where I felt like quitting, so many points where I'm banging my head against the wall going, what the fuck am I doing? Is this really the journey for me? Why am I choosing this? Why am I still going? Like, is it really all worth it? And the ability to pull yourself out of those moments and go, yeah, you know what? It is all worth it. It's going to be worth it in the long run. And all these painful moments are going to be ammunition for my story. They're going to be the things the obstacles that I overcome to get to the point where I'm going to be. And great success stories never come from easy paths. What's that quote that says, calm seas don't make good sailors? We're meant to be on the journey, and the people who have got the abs or the Ferraris or whatever it is you deem as materialistic success, those are people who've worked hard most of the time. I don't want to say money wise, because some people get given their money, but for example, a six pack, that takes a lot of hard work. It takes effort, it takes consistency, it takes discipline. And some people are like, oh, these people are lucky, they've got these things. But really, all of the success stories, all the grit comes from just discipline, hard work, and consistency, and not giving up. And to have someone in your back corner, to have someone that's supporting you when you're going through the hard times, is really, really, really helpful. And I'm very, very, very grateful for my partner today. So I'm sure if you've got kids or you've raised children with a partner, you'll know how useful it is to have someone to bounce off you. And if you are doing it solo, I really take my hat off to you, because it's a tough, tough thing to do. So very impressed by all single parents out there. Chuck your gratitude in the chat. I often say find three things you can be grateful for, and two people. So again, today I am finding gratitude for my wife. I'm also finding gratitude for my mother, but my mother-in-law as well. So my mother's coming over next week, which I cannot wait for. Love my mum, but my mother-in-law has been incredibly good while we've been here. She's around us, and she understands the difficulties between, me and my wife being Australia, Germany, where we're going to live, where we're going to go. And last night she was having a great chat with my wife and sort of gave her blessings that if we want to go in Australia and whatever's best for the children. And she was just been really, really lovely. So I'm grateful for all the family around me. Um, I'm grateful for coffee today because I had very little sleep. But I'm also going back on my my plan to quit the coffee and add the water. So it's a bit of a contradicting gratitude right there. But yeah, chuck in the chat what you're grateful for. And honestly, I know I repeat myself on this, but gratitude does change everything. And I often will forget, and then I'll get to this point, I'm like, wait, well, I've got to find some gratitude today. And just sitting here for 10 minutes, 5 minutes before the call and thinking about all the things I can be grateful for really like shifts my mood. So even if I'm not feeling like I want to jump on this call, or I'm feeling a bit drained and like, oh, I got to do my podcast, which doesn't happen often because I love being here. But when I go through this gratitude 5-10 minutes beforehand, that really shifts my mind. I'm like, no, this is awesome. Like, I'm so grateful to be able to have this call, to be able to have people listening, to be able to be helping people. So I really recommend doing this day in, day out. Don't just jump on here and find something grateful. Find some gratitude, like 2 seconds as you're typing in. While that is good, I really recommend that you try to do this morning and night every single day. So grateful to be here this morning, which is awesome. Grateful for the promise of spring just around the corner and the fact that it was almost light outside when I awoke before my alarm this morning. Nice. Grateful for your outlook on life and your commitment to this podcast. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's, it is something. I'm sure anyone who's tried anything like this, I started off 5 days a week and it was great and I really loved it. And I'm thinking about going back, but it does take effort. It takes energy. And I love the community that we're building here. But 3 days a week, it still takes the time, takes the energy and continues my learning, but it drives me. And I'm really hoping it helps others. And the messages that I get, even if it's just one person that I'm helping, then that's good enough for me. So thank you all for your messages. Thank you all for the kind words that I do receive. And again, more gratitude for the community we're building. Okay. So the reason I shared my gratitude in the way I did this morning is because today I want to talk a little bit about hope and belief. And this does come very important during the struggles. I've had a few people messaging me and reaching out and asking questions like similar to, as I was saying before, like, is it all worth it? Like, this is really hard. I don't know if this is right for me. I've been doing this for long, not getting results now. How do I know if I should keep doing this or if I should change? And I always say the same thing to anyone who's trying to break free of the rat race. You can either work for someone or you can follow your dreams. But no matter which one you choose, you're going to have to choose your shit sandwich. And I think this comes from Mark Manson, where he says, pick your shit sandwich. So no matter what you do in life, there's going to be struggles. No matter what you do in anything, there will be parts of it that you don't like. Now, some things have parts that are very, very easy to deal with. Some things have parts that are very, very difficult to deal with. But it's all perspective, right? And if you're in a job, you might be happy with the money coming in, but you're going to be limited by what you can do, your hours, you're going to be in control of someone. That's your shit sandwich. You're like, okay, I'm happy with this money that I'm getting. It's enough, but I got to deal with the person telling me what to do. I got to deal with the hours that I'm limited to work and my freedom and XYZ. And, not as much growth. Now, if you want to go down the entrepreneurial path, you're going to be like, okay, I'm going to have to go through the hard times. I'm going to have to go through the struggles. I'm going to have to go through the setbacks, the failures, all the things that come along with it. And trading's no different. Trading is really an entrepreneurial path in the sense that you have to figure out a whole bunch of things and make them work together in order to get the success that you want. And there will be times, and any trader that comes in here and just goes, yeah, it was easy, I made success, well, you're a unicorn to me, because every single trader I know of has had to go through some form of lesson, some form of change, and some form of challenge, right? But how do we get through those times? How do we get through the challenges, and how do we keep our head held high? Well, hope and belief are very, very big parts of this. And I think when we first start, like, put some ones in the chat, when you first started trading, you actually had a bit of success and it was actually seemed kind of easy. Because I know for me, that's what happened for me. I jumped in here and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I saw the vision really, really quickly because I was like, this is awesome, and getting results. Like, I was so hopeful that I would be a millionaire within a very short time. And I think a lot of people have this. But that's because you go in here without any expectations and you come in and you are very, very hopeful. You see this new shimmering star and you're like, yep, this is it. This is my path. Let's go. And it's because I made this acronym of hope being holding optimism for positive end results. So if you're hopeful, you're holding a high level of optimism for a positive outcome or a positive end result. And it's great because you sit there and you go, yeah, like, I'm so optimistic. Like, I can see this happening. I'm going to get the positivity. I'm going to have the solutions that I want. I'm so hopeful, right? So this is why I believe hope. This is why I made the acronym hope being holding optimism for positive end results. And it's so important to have this hope, but that hope dwindles. And as soon as you lose that optimism, as soon as you don't have the positivity for, have the optimism for a positive end result, then you start to doubt yourself, the self-narrative. And we spoke about all this stuff on the call. The self-narrative comes in, the detrimental talk, all these things come spiraling. It really is the compound effect working in both directions. You have the hope, and with enough hope, the belief comes in. So when you first start, you have this like, oh, okay, I've seen a light. Like, this sounds really good. You know, this is going to be awesome. And then you see some results and you keep seeing that. And then you get the belief and you're like, oh, actually, I believe this is possible. And there's two levels of belief that I believe exist. The level one is belief in the possibility of it being true. And then level two is the belief in yourself making it true. Okay. And it's a very important definition. I don't know. There's a very important difference between the two. Okay. So belief one, which I would call, let's call belief one the outcome belief. And let's call belief two the internal belief. Making these names up as we go along. Right. But really, if you've got high hope for whatever it is you're looking at accomplishing, then it's easy to believe in the outcome. It's easy to go, yeah, this is possible. I believe this is going to be a thing that I can achieve. But where momentum really starts to take place is when you've got that high hope and you have that internal belief, like, you know what, this is possible and I can make it happen. I am 100% capable. And it really is this shift, because when you look at things like, yeah, it's possible for others, but I don't know if it's possible for me, then you're already putting out to the world that you're unsure. This uncertainty. Self-sabotage is a real struggle, constant fight within myself. Yeah, and the unfortunate thing here is the more we fail, sometimes the less we believe in ourselves. But the longer we stay in something, the more we believe in the outcome. So usually when you've got really high hope, your inner belief and your outer belief are kind of in line. You're like, yes, I'm so hopeful right now. Like, this is good. I'm holding optimism for my positive end result. I believe it's possible and I believe I can do it. But when you start to lose hope, the gap between your inner belief and your outer belief, or your internal belief and your outcome belief start to separate. You're like, this is possible. I can see everyone around me doing it, but I can't do it. I'm losing belief in myself. And yes, I now believe that trading is real and it's not this fancy unicorn scam, but is it real for me? Can I do it? And this is when you start to lose that hope and you're like, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. This self-doubt comes in. And this is where you need to find people or accountability parties that, you know, if your partner isn't the support that you want, find a trading accountability partner. And it doesn't have to be an accountability buddy to go over your trading results with. You can have an accountability buddy for absolutely anything. If you don't, you know, it's great if you can find someone that you can confide in, be open and honest with, share your trading results with, and share your struggles with, and go, hey, look, you know, I'm struggling here. I need like a boost. Like, can we do this together? Or, you know, lift me up kind of thing, and reinforce that hope, reinforce that belief for myself. Because after a long enough period doing something, especially like I feel in trading, you hang around enough people, you see enough success stories, you go, okay, this is actually possible. And you also see a clear path. You're like, if I just do this, and this, then I can see success happening. Like, it's so obvious to me. Chuck some ones in the chat if you have that, or if you can see that, or if you've had that in the past, at least. The clear, concise, step-by-step to success. You're like, oh, all I need to do is this, follow my trading plan, and this, understand risk management, and then stay consistent for X amount of time, and boom, results should come. So hopefully we've all had that little vision. We've all had that understanding that, yes, this outcome, the belief in the outcome, that it's possible. But I think the problem is that at the start, we're very hopeful and we believe in ourselves. And then we have a bunch of failures and our hope starts to dwindle. And therefore, our internal belief starts to dwindle as well. And as this separation increases between internal belief and our outcome belief, then we find it harder and harder to get ourselves back up and to pick ourselves back up. And so I think it's not about how many times you fall, but how many times you can get back up, right? If you have the resilience to just get back up regardless, to get back up and not be diminished by the fall, then you're going to be unstoppable. But let's be honest, we're humans, and constant failure does start to play on us and does start to diminish our belief and our hope. And that's just being a real human. And you've got to be honest with yourself here. Some people do have that ability, that absolute relentlessness where nothing can scathe them, no matter what. And to them, I take my hat off, and I would like to get to that level. And I think that over time I am approaching that level. However, the truth is we are humans, and sometimes we don't have that strength. And sometimes this is where we need someone else in our life that we can use. Okay, look, man, I'm really struggling with this. I don't know. I've been blah, 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 whatever it is that you're going through, and get them to reinstall that hope and belief. And this is why, for me, as a mentor or as a guide or whatever you want to see me as, my sole purpose is to keep reinstalling the belief in you until you have the ability to reinstall it in yourself. To keep watering the seed of internal belief for you until you find that strength so that you can water it yourself. And don't get me wrong, it might get to points where you're like, yes, I've got this, and you can back yourself up and you can water your own seed over and over again. But there will be times you're like, and I've done it so many times, I actually need someone else to fill up my watering can, to fill up my cup again, so that I can water my seed again. And so all I'm planning on doing is being that watering can until you can do it, till you can be self-sufficient. And then you might get depleted, and that's when you got to find someone, an accountability partner, and call it whatever you want, really, but someone that you can go to when your hope is a bit low and you're lacking that internal belief and you need just a pump up, someone to pump your tires, to fill your watering can and go, look, you can do this, keep going. And if you've got that, if you've got this system, and often you hear people who are successful talking about systems, and systems that just function on their own, like ecosystems in the environment, they work, they flow, everything inside them works. And so you need to set up your life to have these systems in place. And luckily for me, my partner is that for me. I can sit here and I can take failure and failure and failure, and I can pump myself back up and I can learn and learn. But when I get to that level of depletion where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm starting to lose hope, I go to her and I get that pump up. She fills up my watering can. I'm like, okay, I'm good for a few more months. I can keep doing this. I can keep figuring things out. And if you have that system in place, if you have that person or those people, then you're going to be able to go a long, long way. And, trading is such a individual thing, but as a human, I believe as a human race, we are made to be tribal. We're meant to be in, I can't think of the word, a community. Wow. We are basically meant to be in a community. And so we need that interaction between humans to uplift us, to motivate us, to guide us. And so while trading is so individual, if you can find a community around you or the people to uplift you and to support you, what's that African proverb? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I absolutely love it because it's true. And this is why I think having a trading community or a trading group or, this podcast community that we're creating is very, very powerful, because it allows you to find strength in the moments when you're feeling really weak, and it allows you to utilize other people to lift you up and build that strength. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? I'm just going to go back in the chat here. I see clearly, and then the fog sets in. I love this community as it helps me to continue to push through, to know the fog will dissipate in time. Yeah, exactly, and it will. And that's a very good analogy there, because it does. Like, life is all about this process of what I like to think is breaking through the levels. So you learn something, and then you feel like you're breaking through and everything's good, and then all of a sudden that fog clears, it gets a bit hard and the challenges come in. And then you go through those challenges and you push through, and then you get to this next level, and then, oh my God, new challenges come and new difficulties come. And what do? You get stopped, you get broken down, and you go, okay, how do I solve these issues? And then you keep going. And this is exactly what life is about. It's not about getting to an end level and being like, hurrah. It's about getting to that next level, figuring out the challenges that you need to overcoming those challenges, being grateful for the lessons you've learned, and then pushing on and growing again and continuing to go and grow and develop and change and become something better and greater and new. Okay? So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can see the difference between hope and belief here and how they work together, and understand the outcome belief that often we have when we see the results and we know that it's very possible, but then working on our internal belief in the fact that you need to believe in yourself and your ability to do these things and your ability to break through and continue on. Okay, now we're getting close to the end of this session, but I want to share a quote. Unless anyone's got any questions, fire away. But otherwise, I want to share this quote, which I saw on, I think, Facebook, from Aubrey Marcus. I can honestly say I've never heard this name before, but I do like this quote. So I don't know if it's original or if it's reissued, but basically he says, our emotions are largely controlled by the stories we tell ourselves, which is so in line with what I talk about. Problem is, we tell ourselves fictions to create the emotions our subconscious wants to feel, especially fear. We think it's safer that way. If you can be aware of your fears, you can control the narrative. Now, we talk about this all the time. Our fears in trading. Just on Tuesday, we were talking about the primal fears that we have. And what fears are, according to Grant Cardone, is false events appearing real, right? And if we have, what does he say? Especially fear, we think it's safer that way. So basically he's saying that the problem is we tell ourselves fictions to create the emotions our subconscious wants to feel. And we have this fear. And if we allow these emotions to take over, we start to tell ourselves these fictitious stories, these lies, basically, so that we can please our subconscious. And so it's a very hard battle between trying to tell ourselves the actual truth and not let the emotions control the subconscious feelings and not let these fabricated stories depict who we become. You know, fear drives so much of what we do, whether it's on a very strong conscious level or on a subconscious level. We have these primal fears, as I was talking about just on Tuesday. We have these innate fears that we've developed over time. And I say this a lot. We were born with only 2 fears. Everything else is learnt, and therefore everything else can be unlearned. But the way we unlearn it is by stopping these fictions and by stopping the stories and the narratives that we tell ourselves in order to please that subconscious. So I just want to read that one more time. Our emotions are largely controlled by the stories we tell ourselves. This is so important because we are, and I've said this many times, we are simply the makeup of our past experiences, the emotions we hold to those past experiences, right? So if our emotions are largely controlled by the stories we tell ourselves, lots of these stories are based on the experiences we've had, based on the past memories we've got, then we can control our emotions. We can rewrite our self-narrative, which I've been talking about. We can rewire the way we talk about ourselves. We can restructure the words we use and therefore the way we think about ourselves, which means we can then control our emotions. So if our emotions are largely controlled by the stories we tell ourselves, why don't we change those stories to enable good emotions, to enable the positive things, not the fear, but the gratitude, not the disappointment of failure, but the, I was going to say gratitude again, but the gratitude of the lesson learned. You know, we can choose the emotions we want to feel by the narrative that we tell ourselves. And this is why I often say self-awareness is super important about the narrative that we're telling ourselves. Our self-talk is so important to the way that we feel. And we know that in trading, emotions drive so much of our actions. So we need to talk to ourselves in a positive way. We need to get ourselves in that really right frame of mind and that right mood. And therefore, our emotions will help us to respond positively on the charts and just in general. So I really, really like this quote. Like I said, I've never heard of Aubrey Marcus, but the whole quote again, our emotions are largely controlled by the stories we tell ourselves. Problem is, we tell ourselves fictions to create the emotions our subconscious wants to feel, especially fear. We think it's safer that way. If you can be aware of your fears, you can control the narrative. Self-awareness of your fears helps you create the story that you want to hear about yourself. Okay? Back through this chat. Totally get it. I love it. I feel that. I receive that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I read Aubrey Marcus books. Own the Day last year. I read Aubrey Marcus's book, Own the Day, last year. It's created more for males, yet holy was it ever so good. Okay. I will have to have a look into the book here. Aubrey Marcus. Now, is that the title Own the Day last year, or is the title Own the Day and you read it last year?
No, the title is Own the Day, and I read it last year, and it's incredible. Like, there's some things I personally couldn't relate to being female, but I thought, man, for any male, this book is amazing. And yeah, even as a female, I pulled so much from it. But his stuff about, he talks about the brain and habit and creating new habit. It just, yeah, mind blowing. I think I might rip through it again on Audible. Yeah.
Awesome. I've never heard of him before, but it sounds like he's very in line with some of the stuff that I align to and some of the stuff that I talk about. So I'll have to check him
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much. Well, I hope you guys were able to take something away from today. I really hope that you're able to find the accountability buddies if you need it. Understand that hope will drive the belief very, very far. And that you need to have not only belief in the outcome, but belief in yourself. And when you've got belief in yourself, you become unstoppable. If you truly, 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 to your core, believe in yourself, nothing can stop you. It's like if you've done something before and you know you can do it and you're finding it really difficult, you don't quit. You're like, I've done this before. Like, I know I can do this. And you just figure it out, right? You just don't stop until you figure it out because you know you've done it before. So you have that 100% belief in yourself. Like, I've done this before, I can do it again. If we have that belief about something we haven't done before, but you still believe that way, you will figure it out. You'll just make it work until it's achieved. So hold the hope, find the accountability buddy, have that belief in yourself. Let's head over to the trading call now to my traders. Make sure that you've read through your trading plan. Make sure that you've done your mindset. Make sure that you've done all of the things that you need to do in your routine to get yourself set up. And yeah, to people listening on the podcast, I will speak to you later, but I love you all. And till tomorrow, bye.